Hello guys, listen to this carefully. There is one question Disney never answered. Not in The Lion King, not in The Lion Guard, and not even when the story reached the Tree of Life. If Kion truly healed, if he truly learned, then why did he never ask about the brother no one talks about? But before we start, tell me which country you are listening to this video from. Because if Kion had met Kopa at the Tree of Life, the entire royal bloodline of the Pride Lands would change forever. And before you dismiss this as just another theory, stay with me. Because everything you're about to hear is built on real scenes, real absences, and real silence. And the answer only appears at the very end. Let's start with what everyone already knows. Kion is Simba's second-born son, leader of the Lion Guard, marked by the roar of the elders. After losing control of the roar, after the venom, after the darkness began creeping into him, Kion leaves the Pride Lands, not to run away, but to heal. And that journey leads him to one real place, a place we saw, a place Disney made canon, the Tree of Life, home of ancient lions, healers, records of the past, a place where nothing is forgotten. That's the bait. That's the comfort zone. Now here's where logic quietly breaks. Because the Tree of Life doesn't just heal bodies, it preserves history. Which raises the first uncomfortable question. If the Tree of Life holds the memory of lions long gone, why does it never speak of Simba's first son? Not a rumor, not a fan invention. A cub that existed in official Disney material. A cub named Kopa. Disney never erased him publicly. They just stopped mentioning him. No death scene, no explanation, no grave, just silence. And silence, in this universe, is never accidental. Now think carefully about Kion's time at the Tree of Life. We see him train, we see him learn control, we see him listen. But what do we never see? We never see him ask about his family's past. Not about Scar, not about Mufasa, beyond legends, and strangely, not about any sibling who came before him. And that absence matters, because Kion is not ignorant. He knows the past shapes the roar. He knows lineage matters. So why doesn't he ask? Unless someone already told him not to. Or worse, unless the answer was dangerous. Here's the first crack. The Tree of Life is filled with lions who left their kingdoms behind. Exiles, protectors, survivors. Not all of them are ancient. Not all of them are ghosts. Some are alive, which leads to a chilling possibility. What if Kopa wasn't erased? What if he was removed, sent away to protect the line of succession, to prevent conflict, to keep Simba's reign clean? Because in royal history, the most dangerous figure is never the enemy. It's the forgotten heir. Now ask yourself this. If Kopa survived, where is the only place Disney could hide him without contradicting the films? A place outside the Pride Lands, a place untouched by Simba's rule, a place already introduced late in the story. The Tree of Life, a sanctuary. And sanctuaries don't just heal wounds, they hide truths. Here's where the tension rises. Because Kion arrives at the Tree of Life already broken, emotionally unstable, afraid of himself, questioning his role. Imagine what happens if, during that fragile moment, he learns that he was never the second choice, that there was a first, a brother who vanished from history. Would the roar react? Would Kion still be able to control it, or would the truth itself be too heavy? Which brings us to the darkest question so far. What if Kion did meet Kopa, but the meeting was never shown, because it changes how we see Simba forever? And that's where we stop. Because the next part isn't about healing anymore. It's about guilt, protection, and a choice made by a father that may have saved a kingdom while destroying a family. In the next part, we're going back to Simba, and once you see the timeline clearly, you'll understand why some names were never spoken again, and why the Tree of Life stayed quiet.
And now we have to go back to Simba. Because if Kion's silence at the Tree of Life feels strange, Simba's silence is far more disturbing. Simba is not a careless king, he is cautious, overprotective, sometimes too afraid of the past. We see it clearly in how he reacts to Scar's legacy, how he reacts to the roar, how quickly fear takes over when history repeats itself. This is a lion who knows what inheritance can destroy. So ask yourself this. If Simba once had a son who disappeared from the Pride Lands, would he ever allow that name to surface again? Or would he bury it to protect the future? Here's the second fracture in the logic. Kion is given the roar. Not Kiara, not a council of elders. Kion, the younger child. Why? Officially, because of destiny, because the roar chooses. But destiny in this universe always reacts to imbalance, and imbalance suggests something came before, something that went wrong. Now think about the timing. Kion grows up believing he is second-born. He never questions it. No one corrects him. Which means whatever happened early. Early enough to be erased from memory. Early enough that even Rafiki never speaks of it. And Rafiki remembers everything. Except this. Unless remembering it would reopen a wound the Pride Lands barely survived. Now return to the Tree of Life one last time. A place of truth. A place of healing. A place where lions confront what they've been running from. And notice something chilling. When Kion arrives, no one overwhelms him with information. They don't explain his past. They don't challenge his identity. They let him heal, without forcing him to ask the wrong question. Because healing sometimes means not knowing yet. So what if the meeting, the truth, wasn't dramatic? What if Kion never heard a name, but felt something? A familiarity, a presence, a lion who looked away too quickly, someone who chose silence, so Kion could leave whole. Because here's the darkest truth of all. Sometimes protecting someone means denying them the full story. And Simba, more than anyone, would understand that cost. Now circle back to the very first question. If Kion truly healed, if the Tree of Life preserves all memory, why does this question still feel unanswered? Because some truths aren't erased. They're postponed, left waiting, until the moment a kingdom is strong enough to survive them. And that leads to the final question. If Kopa is out there, alive, watching, choosing distance over a throne, then maybe the real sacrifice wasn't losing a crown. Maybe it was giving it up, so his brother could rule without shadows. So ask yourself this. If you were Kion, and you sensed a truth powerful enough to break everything you love, would you demand answers? Or would you walk away and let the silence protect the Pride Lands one more time? Because if Disney ever answers this, nothing in The Lion King will feel the same again.